Yo, yo, what's good, YouTube? Sorry if you can hear, the little phone signal going through my microphone. I'm currently set up next to my router in my apartment, and I'm planning on rearranging all that. So, if you hear that, it's unfortunately on my mic feed, but I think with playback and everything, it should, you shouldn't hear anything. This is going to be a video about my top 10 plugins that I'm going to be using this year, specifically for vocals. Basically, I'm going to break down my vocal chain that I have been putting together the last month, and I plan on using it for this year. Pretty much the whole goal of it was to strip back on the amount of processing that I was doing and come up with something that will allow me to move a lot quicker and be able to replicate a lot easier if I'm working on one project. Most of it is just speed and keeping everything organized. The first one is the Kirchhoff by Plugin Alliance. All right, here's the vocal, no processing.
It's about time you've gone away. Leave me in the dark. It's not like I don't know how to pray. I could give you one chance, but you'd run away. At least our story ending helps me stop pretending.
The first thing I did is use this Kirchhoff EQ to tame a few of the frequencies that I was hearing and stuff that was bothering me. Not a whole lot going on, just a couple dB. Some of these bands are in dynamic mode, if not probably all of them, besides this band that I have at around 200 hertz. But yeah, the other three are using some dynamic processing, which is the reason that I chose to use this and keep it in my chain. Obviously, it's a Swiss Army knife. You have different types of bands that you can use, which is nice. I really like the vintage tube for low end stuff, and the 250 is really nice. And if I'm going for an SSL style kind of EQ, I'll use the G or the E. So here's with the EQ.
It's about time you've gone away. Leave me in the dark. It's not like I don't know how to pray. I could give you one chance, but you'd run away. At least our story ending helps me stop pretending. Ask me again.
So yeah, you can hear that, it's a huge difference. Here, I'll bypass it in the middle of her performance.
It's about time you've gone away. Leave me in the dark. It's not like I don't know how to pray. I could give you one chance, but you'd run away. At least our story.
Obviously, some mid-range here, and then some nasal up here that I'm controlling, and some low mids that I'm controlling as well, and then a little bit of sibilance. And I also just did a static EQ, so, just a regular EQ, and I took out some 10K because I know that microphone is very hyped in the 10K. Sometimes it can sound nice, but a lot of the times it sounds brittle, in my opinion. So I like to tame it a little bit and bring some of that out. And then if I feel like I'm lacking, I'll add it back, but with saturation EQ, which I'll show you later on. It does it in a much nicer way. You can kind of, really what I'm trying to do is just reshape the vocal or reshape the microphone, basically. It's kind of like the goal with this kind of processing that I'm doing. And then the next one is just an Avid DeEsser. I just wanted to use it because I want to be able to use stuff that I can track with live, because I'm using the Pro Tools Avid Carbon, which has DSP built in. I've moved away from UAD, so I still would like to have some DSP as I'm recording. And since this is an Avid plugin, I can use it basically in DSP mode, or, using the HDX cards or card that's built into it. So that's really the only reason. I don't really get too crazy about DeEssers, long as you know how to use them properly. But assuming that the vocals are recorded well, you might not have to do a lot of whole de-essing. But yeah, so, just some de-essing.
It's about time you've gone away. Leave me in the dark. It's not like I don't know how to pray. I could give you one chance, but you'd run away. At least our story.
So yeah, the next one is the Fairchild, specifically the UAD version. Yeah, no real preference on why I use the 660 and the 670. Sometimes I use the 670. It's something that I've been hearing on a lot of mixes, whether it is the real hardware unit used as an insert or during tracking, or the plugin during mixing. I wanted to give it a shot, and like I said, no real reason why I use the 660 versus 670. They both work. This is just the first one that popped up when I typed in Fairchild, at least under UAD. So yeah, so here's without it.
It's about time you've gone away. Leave me in the dark. It's not like I don't know how to pray. I could give you one chance, but you'd run away. At least our story ending helps me stop pretending.
And then
Ask
with
me
it,
again. It's about time you've gone away. Leave me in the dark, it's not like I don't know how to pray. I could give you one chance, but you'd run away. Least our story ending helps me stop pretending.
So yeah, it's just like kind of a vintage sound, or like what people like to say, a warm sound. But to me, sounds very vintage, which of course it's a Fairchild. So to be honest, it just kind of holds the vocal, kind of clamps down, almost like reminds me of an LA2A, except the LA2A to me is a lot shinier and a lot more gritty, and in a nice way. But yeah, UAD Fairchild, I'm glad that they dropped the native version with this. So the next one is Little Radiator, which I'm sure you've seen in my other videos. It adds some grit. I just picture it as if I'm like hitting a console in a way, or just kind of hitting a really vibey preamp. That's really what this plugin does for me. Here's without it.
It's about time you've gone away. Leave me in the dark, it's not like I don't know how to pray. I could give you one chance, but you'd run away. Least our story ending helps me stop pretending.
So yeah, it's a little, like I said, obviously a little bit of gain there, which is totally fine. The main thing is that it's adding a little bit of harmonics and distortion that I really like, especially in the mid-range. In my opinion, this really can bring the mid-range forward for vocals, at least for what I'm going for. I'll wait for all right, sorry. Had to wait for the ambulance to drive by. But anyway, so the PSP twin limiter, this has also been in other videos too. Kind of just there to catch those peaks, if there are any peaks. There really wasn't in this vocal.
It's about time you've gone away. Leave me in the dark, it's not like I don't know how to pray. I could give you one chance, but you'd run away. Least our story ending helps me stop pretending.
And same thing, adding a couple dB of gain that I felt like I was losing, or that I needed maybe. It's kind of a similar situation with the Little Radiator. For me, it's just more about the control and the way that this controls it, and also it's adding a little bit more vintage character to the vocal. The next one is Spectre, I believe how you pronounce it, by Waves Factory. Like I said, another one that's been in my past videos a lot. This one I had to stick with. It's basically an EQ, but it only boosts, no cuts. You're not really using it for that kind of stuff, and it's doing it with saturation instead of just actually amplifying the signal. It's really nice. This is where I can really go and shape the final vocal how I want it, and maybe potentially make it sound like they recorded on a much nicer mic or a more delicate mic, or if I did some low end stuff, maybe a more warmer mic or a more vintage mic. These are like literally the frequencies that I use just about everything. It's more about how much of it I'm adding. You can see that I'm only adding a dB of 5K, and I'm only adding 2 dB of 16K. And then I'll throw it in halfway so you can hear the difference, because I feel like that's the best way to hear this do its thing and what I'm doing with it.
It's about time you've gone away. Leave me in the dark, it's not like I don't know how to pray. I could give you one chance, but you'd run away. Least our story ending helps me stop pretending. It's about time you've gone away. Leave me in the dark, it's not like I don't know how to pray. I could give you one chance, but you'd run.
So yeah, it's just really opening up the vocal just a little bit more. If you can really, listen to what it's doing, it's just like opening the top just a little bit more. You can definitely hear the difference when I bypass it versus when you add it. You're like, I think I heard something change, but as soon as you bypass, you're like, oh, I do hear the change. It's just more of, like I said, doing the 16K and potentially maybe further than that. It's just adding a little bit more air, and then, with the 5K, that really gets a vocal to really push through. Another thing that I forgot to mention is that specifically for this upper mid-range, I do like using the tube. There's a bunch of different ones. Every now and then I'll go between the clean and the tube. Sometimes I'll use the diode. That can sound good to me, but 98% of the time it's the tube for the upper mid-range stuff. And then for the top end, I just keep it clean. I don't want any real coloration or some sort of emulation on the top end. I just want it to be like nice, crisp, clean top end basically. So yeah, that's pretty much it with that. And then we're going to scroll down to my all vocal bus, which I will show. I have the remaining 4 plugins basically. First one is an ensemble. It's by the Air bundle that's provided with Pro Tools. These two is just something honestly I got from Alex Toomey, one of his first YouTube videos that he did, or live streams that he did, where he was showing his infamous template and stuff, and he did the setting pretty much, and I copied it. I don't know. I might have like gone through and kind of tweaked it because I was still learning and I couldn't hear what these were doing. And now going back, I understand what he was hearing and stuff. It is just like, I don't know how to explain it. It is like a depth thing that these things add. I don't know where he got it from specifically. I don't know if he said he had tried it somewhere or if he got it from maybe one of his mentors or something. I don't know. I just can't get rid of them. Let me play without it.
It's about time you've gone away. Leave me in the dark. It's not like I don't know how to pray. I could give you one chance, but you'd run away. At least our story ending helps me stop pretending. Ask me again. It's about time you've gone away. Leave me in the dark. It's not like I don't know how to pray. I could give you one chance, but you'd run away. At least our story ending helps me stop.
You can really hear it with the flanger. I mean, obviously, it's doing a stereo thing. Same thing with the ensemble. It's mostly like a width thing. The flanger is definitely the biggest difference that I can hear when I throw it off and on. And then the ensemble is more of like kind of adding stuff like behind your ears, if that makes sense. It's super subtle. I don't expect anybody here, especially through YouTube, but just try it. Number 3 on the all vocal bus is the Shadow Hills. I think this Shadow Hills sounds a lot more, the best way I can explain it is that the original Shadow Hills, the green and black one, that one is almost too subtle for me. Like to be honest, I still really can't hear what it's doing. And I don't know if I've never heard of hardware, to be honest, but as far as the plugin goes, yeah, I don't know. It's just too subtle for me. So when this came out, I gave it a shot and I was like, okay, this one, I can definitely hear character and more of what it's doing than the original Shadow Hills. So all my vocals are going through this, background vocals, doubles, leads, ad-libs, you name it. Like all that stuff is going through this. So I think this does a really good job of grouping those together and kind of making them a unit, but without overdoing it. Another reason that I specifically wanted to use the Plugin Alliance is because they added their little panel to this plugin, and I really like the stereo width on it. I'm just adding, it's usually at 100, and I just added 115. So, but here's without it.
It's about time you've gone away. Leave me in the dark. It's not like I don't know how to pray. I could give you one chance, but you'd run away. At least our story ending helps me stop pretending. Ask me again. It's about time you've gone away. Leave me in the dark. It's not like I don't know how to pray. I could give you one chance, but you'd run away. At least our story.
Yeah, I mean, it's just mostly that last final compression stage for me. You can see obviously it's working with the vocal. It's not just catching the peaks. It's pretty much working with the vocal and catching every word and just kind of keeping it a little bit more clamped down and tamed. And obviously there's a little bit of gain too. This last one is the API Vision channel. With this one, basically, I've been kind of doing like this API, like I guess you can say in the box kind of summing thing. No compression, no any other module that I'm using in it. It's just mostly the EQ and specifically the API, just running stuff through it. You should try it out with this UAD one. You kind of get a bump in like harmonics or something from whatever mojo is going on in the real thing. They also emulated that very well. So even just running signal through it, you can definitely just hear a tone difference like immediately. And I just have it across all my buses. You can see same EQ curve and everything. It's just adding a little bit extra juice to the signal. And yeah, I mean, it's not really doing like
it's about time you've gone away. Leave me in the dark. It's not like I don't know how to pray. I could give you one chance, but you'd run away. At least our story ending helps me stop pretending.
Just a little bit of bump in the low end and the top end, really. Just kind of like a smiley face EQ. Yeah, that's pretty much it. For the most part, this is definitely going to be like the chunk of my vocal chain. Just kind of trying to keep it simple and minimal. That's the end of the video. So, keep subscribing. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And yeah, I'll be dropping another video later this week. Peace.